Hello everybody. Welcome to Masala History by Siva. Please be advised that a small portion of this episode contains some gruesome scenes from history. I have kept the gory details to the minimum to ensure that the content is still kid-friendly. Listener discretion advised. And with that, let's get into today's episode. It was the best of times, it was the worst of times. It was the age of wisdom, it was the age of foolishness. It was the season of light, it was the season of darkness. It was a spring of hope, it was a winter of despair. Thus begins a fantastic classic by Charles Dickens. I'm not sure how Monsieur Dickens ended up having the title of his book as A Tale of Two Cities, but that title is very applicable to my life's history. I am in Baker Street, London. Been here for over 180 years. Anyone who has visited London has possibly visited my place, and even those who haven't ever visited England have most likely heard of me. In today's edition of Masala History by Siva, I choose to tell my strange story. So travel with me 250 years back as I narrate what I have seen, done, and continue to do till day. I was born in Strasbourg, in the historic Alsace region in the Franco-German border. My mother worked for a physician named Dr. Philippe Curtius, who took me in as an apprentice while I was just 6 years old. When the doctor moved to Paris, I moved along with him to learn his trade. King Louis XVI was the Grand Emperor of France, and I got a job to be the art tutor to his sister, Madame Elizabeth. I had staying quarters at the Palace of Versailles. I was good at making anatomical casts that were used by the physicians for figuring out different treatments. We had a nice life in Paris, and all was well, or so we thought. In the summer of 1789, Bastille fell. This was the beginning of what would now be called as the French Revolution. I myself took a tour of the Bastille's ruins, and I was running around the place. I tripped and fell. The man who came to my aid was a gentle, nice fella named Maximilien Robespierre. Little did I know that he would one day lead the reign of terror across France, and even little did I know that I would be holding his severed head someday. In 1792, King Louis XVI and Queen Marie Antoinette were imprisoned, and I was thrown into the prison along with the rest of the royal family. For 3 months almost every single day, I awaited my death. But history had other plans for me. Someone realized my carving and modeling skills and thought to put it to use. I was released by the French National Assembly under the condition to model the busts of prominent folks who were being guillotined. They would perhaps pay me for it. My friend those days was Charles Henry Sanson, the public executioner of Paris. He would bring me the severed heads of those unlucky ones who ended up at the guillotine, and I would make a quick model of them before they can be buried. My busts of Maximilien Robespierre, the King and Queen of France, were very popular. I had the unfortunate experience of holding their lifeless heads to make these models. I married Francois in the year 1795. He was a gambler, but I still pushed my life doing real-life sculptures and exhibiting them. However, the gory scene of Paris was making it horrible for me to live there. Also, my business was no longer attractive as people flocked to see chopped heads live. By 1802, I decided to pack my bags and leave for a tour of England and Ireland and maybe do some exhibitions out there for a few years. For the next 30 years, I toured most of England, Ireland, and found that the middle-class population there was willing to shell money to see, touch, and feel the celebrities of their times, even though in sculptures. Voltaire, Benjamin Franklin were extremely popular, and my friendship that I had cultivated with them while doing these sculptures came in handy. I tried returning to my home country, France, but the Napoleonic Wars made it impossible. I never returned to France, and my husband left me. Finally, in 1835, I settled down permanently in Baker Street, London. Half a century later, a young detective also set up his shop at Baker Street, competing with me for attention. He goes by the name Sherlock Holmes. And speaking of names, I hope by now you realized who I am. But for those few of you who didn't, here it is. When my husband Francois left me, I retained only one thing from him, his last name, Tussaud. Ironically, that's how I and my business are referred to even today. I am Madame Tussaud. That's all for today, folks. I hope you enjoyed listening to the story of Madame Tussaud, which is today a very popular wax museum located in more than 20 cities across the world. Once upon a time, people would be scared to be featured because most likely they would get featured when their heads were cut off. And today, celebrities are queuing up to get featured in Madame Tussauds. That's sort of how history changes over time. Anyway, with that, let me say goodbye for today and hope to see you in a couple of weeks with yet another interesting Masala History. Until then, stay safe, get vaccinated. Thank you. Bye-bye.